Hello, I am just waiting for ma'am to join in. Okay, she's here.
Hello,
Hello, good evening.
hi. Good evening. How are you?
I am good, thank you. How about you?
Good, good, good. I was so excited for this live session.
Same
Fine.
here, same here. An
Yes.
awesome topic chosen by you.
I mean, a much needed topic precisely, especially in today's times with so much of uncertainty around and everything. I think that clutter is there. And yeah, so before I actually dive into the topic, I'll just introduce to our viewers a little about IEC as well as you. So, hello and welcome everyone. So, ever since this COVID-19 and the pandemic situation started, there's been a lot of clutter in our heads, be it physically or mentally, and because of the uncertainty that's been surrounded. So, with regards to this today, in collaboration with IEC, I have with me Dr. Ranjana Khattar, who is going to talk about the technique and the tips to declutter our mind. She, along with her team, has been doing psychotherapy and counseling sessions online through video calls as well as calls, and they've tried to reach as many as possible on a daily basis. So, ma'am, would you also like to tell a little about yourself?
So, at the Center Institute, we also work a lot with schools and organizations and community settings. And one of the other things that we also do is consult for profit and non profit organizations to take forward the topic of mental health and promote that within their teams, or take that as part of the causes and the work they do. So that's in addition to the work that we do.
Right. So, let's just dive into the today's topic. And also for anybody who would like to get in touch with IEC, I'll also be sharing the Instagram handle so you can directly DM, or I'll be sharing the contact numbers at the end so you can get in touch with them for your personal concerns. So, yes. So the first thing basically is, starting with today's topic, is that there's a lot that we all are going through, the everyday little struggles that we are going through and the clutter in our mind. So what exactly is this clutter and what is the impact this clutter exactly has on our body?
Sure. So I'll dive into that. There was a recent study. Actually, the study is a bit old, but it still holds true. In an average person thinks and has about 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts in a day. Can you believe that? And four out of the five thoughts that they have tend to be negative.
Oh my God.
So is this something only I have when I overthink and I am negative? It's human nature. We have a tendency to be dissatisfied, don't we? I don't like myself. I don't like others. I don't know. I don't like the way the life is going. Our happiness is usually short term. We get habituated to things we have, and we sometimes don't feel content. We have a
Right.
tendency to remain dissatisfied, isn't it? So
Right.
बहुत बार हम ऐसा सोचते हैं कि बहुत काम है करने वाला लेकिन कुछ हो नहीं पा रहा है. We are feeling
Right.
preoccupied. We are feeling like we are behind the curve. This is what mental clutter is. There are decisions to take. There are problems to solve. There are relationships that need mending, that need maintenance. There are expectations and commitments that we want to fulfill ourselves. And what does this leave us with? We're feeling confused. We are feeling overwhelmed. There could be pain in our body, different parts, aches and pains. There could be pain in our feet. It's also like there is this constant, feeling as if there's a drop in motivation, and we don't feel like the time we took to accomplish our tasks earlier. It's much more time that we take now. Very
Right.
interestingly, when I was walking on the road one of the days, I thought of, when the roads are being made, you see this concrete, this machine that's making the concrete with the cement and the sand and the
Yeah.
water, and how it's churning and churning and churning. Sometimes the cluttered mind feels like that, I feel. उसका कोई
Right.
शेप और फॉर्म नहीं बन सकता है, वो अभी वो मिक्सचर ही है, बट हम उसमें ऐसे, we just get into it and we find ourselves stuck in it. And it doesn't take a form of us actually getting into any action of it, but somehow we are just churning
Just
and
turning
churning, and
around.
it's gooey, it's sort of, it's gooey, it's yucky, and we don't know what to do with it, right? So that's how
Right.
a cluttered mind is. What are the behavioral signs? What happens to us? Think of the times when you had an anger outburst, गुस्सा आ गया तेजी से. When we are not able to control, मुंह से वो बात निकल जाती है, we know we shouldn't be saying it, but वो निकल जाती है. Or sometimes the other may happen where we tend to want to be away from people and situations. We tend to withdraw. Okay? And physically, what happens? Everything that goes wrong with our tummy, be it gas, acidity, irregular bowel movements, it could be dryness in our mouth, feeling numb, frequent urination, even extensive difficulties like thyroid, asthma, it could be some skin condition, diabetes, even certain vitamin deficiencies. These are all linked to a cluttered mind. And what is
Right.
important? We need to declutter it. So I
Right.
also think of the time, abroad it may be spring cleaning, but in India, don't we all do like Diwali ki safai? मैं
Right.
करती हूँ, आप करते हो, राइट? दिवाली की सफाई में क्या होता है, हम बिल्कुल डीप क्लीनिंग मोड में चले जाते हैं. तो
Right.
अगर ऐसा कोई सामान हो जो हमने बहुत टाइम से देखा नहीं है, बस जमा करते रहे, we kept holding on to it, it's going to be
Right.
a mess. But if
Correct.
that's exactly what's happening with our mind. So we are filling it up with the clutter, and we need to know how to purge, give away what we don't want, and sort of just declutter ourselves. I think when we do that, what's going to happen is we're going to live more effectively. We are going to see an increase in our motivation. We definitely see an increase in our attention span, focus, and our productivity at work.
Correct. So basically, like the symptom, like you said, that the bodily thing, like the behavioral things for decluttering, isn't it exactly like the, anxiety and depression as well? Isn't that pretty much overlapping each other? So how do I exactly know कि हाँ ये सिर्फ अभी फिलहाल it's just the clutter and I need to work upon the clutter and it is not depression that I'm going through? Because कितनी बार ये हो रहा है ना? Because everything is so I mean available easily to us. I just
Sure.
Google these symptoms and I'm like, oh shit, शायद मुझे depression है. Oh shit, मुझे ये, but in reality वो चीज है ही नहीं. It is not that. That's not the case. So how do you really differentiate between this?
So, the word depression is used very, very loosely. There are motivational speakers who will talk about, हम depressed रहते हैं, तब क्या होता है. We have
Right.
to drop using this word so loosely. Depression and anxiety are mental health conditions. They are symptoms, they are signs, and they have a feature. कोई एक चीज नहीं होती, बहुत सारी चीजें होती है, and वो लंबे समय तक के लिए रहती है. So we have to focus on actually understanding that, okay, there is some temporary part, which is the stress, the tension, but yes, it is a continuum. So it's like, this balloon. हाँ, उसमें हवा भरते रहेंगे तो वो बड़ा बड़ा होता रहेगा,
Right.
right? And when it increases too much and it bursts, so that's where we have an
Right.
onset, or we have conditions of anxiety and depression. But I must say 3 out of 4 people do experience anxiety and depression, and 1 out of 2 in corporate India. So we need to understand that this is becoming more and more common, and the starting point is to first get aware of the fact that do we have a cluttered mind, and maybe use some steps of how do you declutter it.
Right. So, even when I talk about a cluttered mind, of course, negative thoughts being one of them, but we are always in this worry or the overthinking pattern that we have, or possibly, anticipating as to what is going to happen in the future. So, how can we exactly put a stop to that? I mean, till an extent, it's good to really think about the future, but the constant thinking कि अब क्या होगा, that thing is not really a healthy thing and that creates a lot of clutter. So how do you actually put a stop to that aspect?
It's such a great question, Nidhi, because this is exactly how it happens. We tend to overthink. Now, firstly, let's become present. Why are we human? We are human because we have the ability to do rational thinking, and we are able
Right.
to preempt the future. This is God gifted that we are able to think beyond, and that's phenomenal. But the flip side of that is the overthinking. Now, to be able to understand how to stop the habit, we need to understand what is this habit and understand that better. So I'm thinking of, a scene in a jungle. What happens there? There's a deer, and उसे लगता है
Right.
उसका शिकार होने वाला है. He's going to be attacked. The moment he realizes कि शिकार होने वाला है, ऐसे भागता है जोरदार. Like they want to really ensure they save
Okay.
themselves. And there is the fight or flight response where we want to save ourselves from that danger. And that's what the deer does, right? And what's happening that when we take it to what's happening for humans, is there a real danger? Well, in the caveman period, it was the fire, the natural disasters, or the wild
Right.
animals that we were saving ourselves from. But in this day and age, for many years now, it's the perceived danger that continuously keeps us stressed.
Right.
In the time of COVID, it is actually, there are terms like coro anxiety.
I've
So
not
we are,
heard of this.
so we have what ifs, don't know, मुझे हो गया क्या करो ना, मुझे होगा क्या करो ना, मुझे बेड मिलेगा क्या. These are real fears. Yes, I
Right.
understand. But how much of it, how much are we tending to it? How much fuel are we giving to it? So when we keep thinking of it, what happens? We are continuously aroused. And when we're aroused, our body, our sympathetic nervous system is getting the message alert. There is danger and you have to protect yourself.
Right.
When we do that, we are suppressing our immunity because and our digestion, and that's why we have so much stomach issues, because we are continuously thinking, I have to save myself from danger. Now think of that deer. क्या उसको हमेशा ऐसा लगता है अटैक होने वाला है? नहीं ना. देयर आर टाइम्स वो आराम से जॉयफुली टहल रहा है जंगल में, मेडो में. दे हैविंग द लीव्स, दे हैविंग द ग्रास. देयर इज अ रेस्ट एंड डाइजेस्ट पीरियड.
Um, I think there is
All
some
right, I think there
network
was a drop
issue.
in connectivity. Are you able to listen to
Yes.
me yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now
So
I can. Yeah.
yes. So
You
we
can
were
hear
on the
me?
rest and digest period.
Yes.
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 Now we need to ensure how do we get that rest and digest period for ourselves. हम pause ही नहीं लेते हैं, हम रुकते
Right.
ही नहीं है continuously, because हमें ऐसा लगता है कि mind कंट्रोल हम कंट्रोल ही नहीं कर सकते हैं. हमें टेंशन आती नहीं है, हम लेते नहीं है, हमें आ जाती है.
Right.
We
Right.
don't wake up in the morning thinking I want to be tensed, but it comes to us. That's how we
Right.
see it. That's how it occurs. But the more we increase our awareness, we're able to realize that it's coming to us, and there is a way we can manage it. And the first thing to be able to manage it, to understand that we need to cultivate this rest and digest period. We have to have like a intent that we want to free up our minds and work towards it. And how do we cultivate, how do we activate this rest and digest period? क्या होता है rest and digest period में? This is when our parasympathetic nervous system is activated and we are digesting, we are eliminating uh, in our body, the function of our body. We are also detoxifying, we are healing.
Right.
जब हम रेस्ट और नहीं करते हैं तभी तो वी हैव इरेगुलर बाउल मूवमेंट्स, गैस रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम्स, बॉडी इन्फ्लेमेशन, aches and pains. So we have to access this rest and digest response in our body to be able to prepare for future problems. So the world is really changing. Right now, learning environments in schools, in colleges have completely changed. The way we were studying our MBA now is like it's disastrous sometimes it feels, right? Like studying it remotely. It's a VUCA world. It's volatile. It is something which is completely ambiguous. We काफी कुछ हमें अपने work environments में change करने पड़े when we're working remotely. So it's
Correct.
continuously changing, and the way we will cope with it is if we are able to actually pause and understand, is our mind full or are we mindful?
Mindful. Right.
And how do we do that? Very simple. There are two thinking modes that we have. One is a direct thinking mode and the other is a default thinking mode.
Okay.
Okay. Now a direct thinking mode, what will that do? It will be in the present. हम जब cycling कर रहे हैं, हम जब कोई बहुत attention से कोई काम कर रहे हैं, we are right in the moment, in the present. What is our
Right.
default thinking mode? कुछ ना कुछ रनिंग कमेंट्री, जैसे क्रिकेट के मैच में कमेंट्री चलती रहती है ना, क्रिकेट भी हो रहा है और कमेंट्री भी चल रही है. It just goes on.
Yeah.
And we get lost in that, we get swayed in that. What we have to do is just pause and say, oh, that was my default. Let me pull myself back into the present and come into the direct thinking mode. Just
Right.
pause, come back. Pause, come back. There are a
But that
few other things. Yeah, go ahead, Nidhi.
But that transition itself is very difficult, to pause and come back because to even take that pause really takes a lot from you. So मतलब वो thought आना ही in itself कि कैसे वो pause कैसे है कि because it's just like you said, it's just churning around, and
Yeah.
that's what happens. Like after one thought, there's another. After another, there's another one. So how do you like just bring about that pause? कि हाँ, now is the time I need to pause. Like how do you do that?
अवेयरनेस अवेयरनेस अवेयरनेस, प्रैक्टिस
Right.
प्रैक्टिस प्रैक्टिस। हम जब साइकिलिंग सीखे थे, ड्राइविंग सीखे थे, कुकिंग सीखे थे, तो एकदम से तो रोटी गोल नहीं हुई। साइकिल
Right.
पे चढ़े तो ऐसा, तो वी वोर द रनिंग शूज डिडंट मेक अस अ रनर।
Right.
It needed practice, that's all. It's tough, but it's doable, and we need to create an intent. Even if we are saying okay, let me try with, जब भी याद आए वापस आ जाए। बिल्कुल ऐसा नहीं सोचना कि I have to ace it, I have to get it right all the time. We are human, it happening to all of us.
Right.
I also like to give this example. Say you can't do that, pauses नहीं हो रहे, चलो छोड़ो ये बात को छोड़ो, because for everybody different things work. Let's assume that there is a room. Our
Hmm.
mind is like a room, okay?
Hmm.
वो कमरे से बाहर एक ही इंसान निकलता है। जो हम बोलते हैं, जो हम करते हैं, वो एक ही इंसान है। मैं हूँ, आप हो। वो
Right.
कमरे के अंदर, in that room, there is multiple versions of ourselves, different parts of ourselves.
Correct.
If we
Correct.
really go back to our life, we will think that there's a part of me who's dancing and
Like,
joyful and
like with this each statement you're saying, there are like so many thoughts again coming in my head, exactly getting us back to the topic we are talking about. Like, huh, okay, yeah. Right.
सो ये रनिंग कमेंट्री चल रही है। अभी हम जब बात कर रहे हैं, आपकी भी चल रही है, मेरी भी चल रही है। हमें यही पहचानना है कि आई एम नॉट द ओनली वन। सामने वाले बंदे के भी, द ऑपोजिट पर्सन की भी रनिंग कमेंट्री चल रही है, राइट?
Right.
So there are different parts. There's a part which is joyful. There's a part which is like getting all these accomplishments at work, at study. There is also a part which is sitting down alone and crying and sad and lonely.
Right.
Can we actually, like how we would tend to a friend who is in that mood, just be there and sit with that? Just sit with that part and say you're there and I'm here with you. कुछ बोलना नहीं है, अगर नहीं कुछ करना नहीं है, just be with it.
Right.
Can we actually, and that's the way we practice compassion, that's the way for ourselves. So what happens here, we are trying to actually just be with those. Sometimes होता है कि हम थॉट्स में गुम हो जा रहे हैं। वो थॉट को पकड़ के और स्पाइरल करके और नेगेटिव सोचना, मैं ये नहीं बोल रही हूँ। आई एम सेइंग जो थॉट है उसके साथ बैठे, लुक,
Right.
थॉट यहाँ पर है, उसके अंडर देयर आर इमोशंस। Sit
Right.
with that sadness, that loneliness, reflect, and that's the work we psychologists do in therapy, where we help clients support their emotions, support what's going on. बहुत बार होता है कि हम irritated इतना होते हैं, इतने agitated होते हैं. It's amazing, right? There are couples and there are individuals in our relationship who just keep texting. गुस्सा आया नहीं कि टक 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 तुमने ये किया, वैसा किया, वैसा किया. What if we just put that message in drafts? After 24 hours, we'll feel, do I need to send it? After 42 hours, 48 hours, we'll be like, there's very little to say. And after 72 hours, we're like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But can we actually we just need to kind of hold that intention, and also we don't have to necessarily react to everything.
Right.
It's there within us. Become present, just be aware. We don't need to act and react on it.
Right.
We can stay with it, we can nurse it, we can hug it. It's our friend, it's part of us. Give it the nurturance it needs.
Right. True. Very true. I mean, we often forget that, we need to exactly be there for ourselves, like we are there for our friends or for our family. We, very true. That's very true, actually. So, like you also mentioned about the negative thinking part, the negative, like of course, worrying, overthinking होता है, negative thinking भी काफी बारी आती है. So, how do you eliminate that negative thinking? मतलब जैसे आपने बोला कि हाँ, that is going to come with practice and with awareness of the thoughts, but again eliminating that is also a very important thing. So how do you do that?
Okay, so we started this session today by saying 4 out of 5 thoughts are negative.
Correct.
Yes, can we befriend it? Can we decide that हम अपने दोस्त को बुरा नहीं बोलेंगे necessarily, तो क्या इससे प्यार कर सकते हैं, मैत्री की भावना रख सकते हैं? Can we be compassionate to it? Some of the other things that you've earlier shared in many of the events and IGTV videos that you have put up, things like using affirmations. Who am I actually? There is an I, जो मैं हूँ, तो क्या है उसमें? My beliefs, my values, my morals, my choices. We
Right.
may not have art. We can probably write it down as an affirmation, and
Right.
then if we can't write it down, we can create an image, because everything can't be said in words. And
Right.
maybe place it somewhere where we can see it, to remind ourselves when we are feeling negative. I am experimenting. I am in this journey to discover life. I am, growing each day. I'm doing better than I did yesterday. I
Right.
am moving each day.
Right.
Some affirmation. एक मुझे ये भी लगता है कि हम अपने आप को, वी टेक आवर सेल्स टू सीरियसली. ठीक है, चिल यार. हर चीज को इतना सीरियसली लेना जरूरी है क्या?
ट्रू. जरूरी नहीं
फिर
है.
नहीं है. और हम सामने वाले को भी बहुत सीरियसली लेते हैं. उसने तो ऐसा बोला, दे हेट मी. मैं बिल्कुल ठीक नहीं कर सकती हूँ. आई एम अ फेलियर.
Right.
Of course, there is something called depression, and in therapy, we can uncover that. But for people who are not experiencing a more distressed condition, we need to just step back and say, am I taking myself too seriously? And just take a chill pill.
Right.
Just be. Now, if you were to ask specific steps, and that's also important, and that's a work we progressively then do in therapy. But two very common beliefs that people may have is, I'm not very good. I will never be good.
Right.
और no one loves me and no one needs me.
Right.
जो कुछ हमारे thoughts आ रहे होते हैं, they are around these two. Okay. If I'm doing some work and I feel like ये मेरा काम अच्छा नहीं होगा, I will not be able to get my sale numbers this quarter. I won't meet my target.
Right.
Check. So what can we do? There are 4 steps we can do. First one is we check the reality of it. Is
Right.
this real or is this perceived? And what is the evidence for it? What is the evidence against it? मेरा काम नहीं बनेगा, अच्छा नहीं होगा. What is the evidence कि पिछली बार बना था?
Right.
Recall that. Second thing, put things in perspective. Will this really matter after 2 years? Yes, 6 महीने हमारी एडमिशन नहीं हुई, कुछ करियर का नहीं हुआ, जॉब नहीं लगी. 2 साल बाद जब हम, will it matter then as much? Put it in perspective. Third is this helpful? Is it going to help me meet my needs? Do I want to keep this? And here I can think of, imagine मेरी पुरानी बिल्डिंग सोसाइटी में ना suggestion box हुआ करता था. जिसको चाहिए suggestion डाल सकता है. Schools कभी-कभी होता है.
Right.
Mind is like a suggestion box. Just because it has come in, we can read it, but it doesn't mean we need to act on it. We don't need to take everything it's saying to us.
Right.
Metacognition is also a part of human brain. So the fourth thing is, can I actually even just fake positivity? Just say, okay, what if I saw it from a positive lens? काम बन जाएगा, तो फिर क्या होगा? Let me, and then
Right.
here I can recall my past positive experiences that give us so much of positive energy to be able to deal with it. So 4 steps that
Right.
we can do to cope with the negative thinking.
So also, when we talk about the clutter, it does not, it does not only happen just in one manner, but it also happens mentally and physically. So could you shed some light upon how does this happen and what exactly happens and why does this occur?
Sure. So our physical space, and that includes not just the space we live in, our own bodies, they are
Right.
representational of our inner emotional turmoil. जैसे हम दिखते हैं, अपने घर को जैसे रखता है, वो ये दिखाता है कि असल में क्या चल रहा है, हमारे मन के अंदर क्या चल रहा है,
Right.
दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है. Our cupboards, our bowel movement and our thoughts, they are interlinked. कबर्ड भी गंदी, पेट में भी प्रॉब्लम, और this is how physical space and our emotions, just to put it very simply, we are hoarding. Yeah, go ahead, Nidhi. You want to ask something?
Yeah, like अब समझ आता है ना कि क्यों मम्मा हमेशा बोलती है साफ रखो घर, क्यों हाँ, कि क्यों कमरे को साफ करो, ऐसे मत रखो, कबर्ड क्लीन करो. Now you can relate to all those things as to why. Right.
some people do say कि अरे disorganization gives me energy और ये वो है. I'm not too sure. But thing is कि जब हम disorganized हैं, जब हम messy हैं, you know, in a way, it is also like the way we make our bed. Actually,
Right.
हमारा बेड को ही ले लो, साफ है, पीछे मुड़ के देखिए अब बेड आपका साफ है कि चीजें पड़ी और क्या हो रहा है.
Right.
These are indicators of a cluttered mind. हमारा digital phone memory full, drive memory full. Digitally there is so much of clutter, right? What are we doing there? जब इतना सब होता है हम बोलते हैं बहुत छोड़ो यार, बाद में देखेंगे, फिर कर लेंगे. निधि बोल रही है अरे बाप रे मेरी मम्मा को ही नहीं सुनना चाहिए टॉक.
I can totally, yeah, like I have my fingers crossed. Like, but Mama shouldn't hear this after the IGTV. Like constantly कि ये साफ रखो, वो साफ रखो. Like normally my other things are very well done, but when it comes to my room, I'm like ठीक है बाद में कर लेंगे, we'll do it. But then okay, now I'm like नहीं, अब तो करना पड़ेगा when it's actually everything is so interrelated and interconnected to each other.
So what's happening there? We are avoiding it. This is how we work with our minds. We tend to avoid our failure experiences and unhappy experiences or memory. Be it a time we were bullied, कभी किसी ने धुतकार दिया, scold किया, any unhappy memories where we were like some unwanted touch. Many of these difficult concepts is some like things that have occurred for us. We don't have an avenue where we can share. For whatever reason, we may not feel fair, we do not feel safe, जो भी कारण है, and you know, so we are tending to avoid it.
Right.
How do we avoid our emotions? क्या होता है, हम suppress करते हैं, दबाते हैं उसे.
Right.
नहीं ठीक है, I'm not the only one, समझौता करो, life is a compromise.
Right.
Some of these things help, no doubt, but we have to recognize what's happening for us and why the mind is cluttered. Because we're suppressing it, not feeling comfortable to express it. Sometimes we are in denial कि नहीं नहीं, focus on the task at hand, and these all things will settle with time. You know, we want to be that go-getter who resolves everything, achieves everything. Or sometimes it can also be the displacement. We're putting it on the other person.
Right.
All of these things are creating that clutter. And we need to continuously, on a daily basis, try to deactivate ourselves and become clutter-free.
Right.
So how do we do that? That rest and digest period that earlier I was talking for, when we access that in moments like we are focusing on our breath, we are doing an exercise and we are fully in present of that, we're doing any art activity, we are in the present. How else can we do that? We can conserve our energy. हमें जब भी जरूरत नहीं है, we can close our eyes, shut our eyes. When we shut our eyes, we save a lot of energy, and we also give a message to our bodies that you know, we need to take our attention inwards than outwards. Can we just start with that? Can we just put our head down between our 8 hours of work from home or doing multiple things? Even these simple steps, can we do that? Putting our feet up. हम जमीन पर लेट जाते हैं, तो दिस इज जमीन पर लेट रहे हैं, पैर ऐसे रखे और नी से बेड पर रेस्ट कर ले, 90 डिग्री लेवल.
Right.
And we save so much of energy of our body. फोन पे बात करते करते ये कर सकते हैं. So we deactivate ourselves, and these are also ways to kind of declutter our minds, to declutter our body, and of course room की सफाई तो करनी पड़ेगी. So निधि वो करेगी आज.
Done. Room covered सब आज ही अभी इस सेशन के बाद बस. Like also, you know, like you mentioned, like when we have an 8 hours of work from home, and like even the kids, possibly the young children also, the constant thing, you know, कि at least जब हम Instagram whenever we are scrolling, we see, oh my God, this person's baked this person has done this, and when, even with the kids, you know, the parents are constantly nagging them कि अच्छा तुम craft भी कर लो, ये भी कर लो, online ही है, you can do everything. So there's a constant thing of being productive. So you know, how can you just get over this cycle कि यार इतनी भी productivity नहीं, let's just calm and be there in the moment. Possibly let's just close our eyes, because you know, I've seen people being into that guilt कि यार how can I give myself so much of time, let me just do something productive and let me just make something out of this lockdown and something like that. So how do you basically put a full stop to that कि हाँ भाई इतना भी productive होना जरूरी नहीं है, कभी कभी खुद को भी वो रेस्ट दो तुम वैसे.
So this reminds me of a story. एक दो दो पेड़ काटने वाले थे, एक जंगल में पेड़ काटने का काम करते थे, and they started work on the same day, and as they were going on, eventually what was realized is that this one guy is able to cut only one tree in 4 hours, and this other guy can cut 20 trees in 4 hours.
I am curious now.
इतनी productivity कैसे? And what is it that the other person was doing and what this person was doing? एक बंदा है जो 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 काट रहा है और काफी सारी अचीव कर पा रहा है, एंड द अदर इज हु इज ओनली एबल टू कट वन. वही मेहनत कर रहे हैं, मेहनत
Right.
वही है
Right.
in terms of cutting the tree, but एक से खाली एक ही कट रही है. It's because the guy who's cutting 20 trees, in the time when there was no work, they were sitting और अपनी जो धार है उसको वो शार्पन कर रहे थे, तेज कर रहे थे. नाउ इज अ टाइम जहाँ पर एक अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमें ऐसा टाइम मिल गया है वेयर okay, our admissions are delayed, our courses are delayed, but what are we doing in this time? Yes, there is धार तेज करना can be about doing multiple courses online. It can be trying to be productive, but it can also be trying to focus inward. Who am I? Becoming aware of this unrest, being present to it and befriending it that this is okay. So इसमें बहुत बार काफी बार क्वेश्चन आता भी है कि मोटिवेशन कैसे इंक्रीज करें. मोटिवेशन इज लाइक द अरोमा ऑफ द फूड.
Right.
जब खाना बना रहे होते हैं तो खुशबू आ रही है, खुशबू पहले तो नहीं आती है.
Right.
When we start cooking our meal, that's when the aroma will emerge. So we need to start putting ourselves in action to be able to get that motivation. If there is procrastination, मन पता है काम करना है. Yeah, and that was the question. If procrastination है, how do we deal with that? Procrastination is a sign of anxiety and low confidence. मुझे नहीं लगता मेरे से ये हो पाएगा. अरे कुछ गड़बड़ हो गई तो. I don't think I can do this. What if I fail? We have to recognize our cluttered mind and the negative thoughts and be with it. Sit with it. Nurse it. Befriend it. Follow the first steps. What's the worst? Have that perspective. Take the positivity.
Right.
You know? So it's like a car. I very often use this car analogy. Our thoughts and our behaviors are our front wheels.
Right.
Wherever they go, our emotions will follow, our physical sensations will follow.
Right. True.
So we focus on our behavior, we change our action. Make your bed when you wake up tomorrow. Clean your cupboard.
Someone has written that, like I have noticed that in the morning when I get up and start my day by making my bed, it helps me become more productive during the day.
Thank you so much, Archit. So that's true. It's very simple task, but I'm realizing that it gives a silent message to us. So we have to change our action. We have to know if when we let go, we make space for something better.
Right.
So we have to declutter ourselves, try to think of how we can do that and follow some of these steps.
Right. So finally, of course, you mentioned a lot of tips and all, but also one very important thing is self-care and other tips and techniques that you would like to suggest in order to declutter our mind. And some coping strategies also on the same lines with these.
Okay. So, हम हमारे पेरेंट्स हमारे LIC पॉलिसी स्टार्ट करते थे ना, लाइफ इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी, राइट? But there is another LIC policy which we need to follow, which is our lifestyle choices.
Wow, I like this one.
What are lifestyle choices? Our lifestyle choices are what is the food we are giving our body, and in terms of thought, giving our mind.
Right.
What is the breath awareness? Are we even aware in the way we are breathing? Because often it's actually just the way we breathe, and if we breathe, try to concentrate our breath, which helps us focus on the here and now, we are able to get ourselves in the present.
Right.
Are we able to sleep in darkness? Are we able to complete the kind of sleep we need, 8 hours minimum? And that's all completely gone. The rest, एक आयुर्वेदा में बड़ा सिंपल सा वो है, पेट नरम, पैर गरम, सर ठंडा.
So this is so apt.
We need to follow that, try that. If we want to just, what happens is we feel very hot headed. एक phrase आया, hot headed, गुस्सा आ रहा है, tension आ रही है. Can we cool ourselves down? And how can we do that? We can lie down in that knee bend position, or just lie down on the bed. Take an ice pack and place it on your forehead. Let it cool down your body.
Right,
Soak our feet in warm water.
right,
These are some ways we can create and inculcate that sense of rest and digest period for our bodies. Maybe we
right,
can try that. I think our kind of biggest problem also is that we're often our worst critic. We struggle so much to appreciate ourselves.
right. True.
कोई और हमें नहीं बोलेगा हम क्या गलती कर रहे हैं, बोलेंगे सब अच्छा है, बट हमें लगेगा नहीं नहीं वो तो ऐसे ही बोल रहे हैं, इतना अच्छा काम नहीं है मेरा, दिस इज नॉट एज गुड, आई कुड हैव डन बेटर. वी आर आवर
Better.
वर्स्ट क्रिटिक. वी फाइंड इट डिफिकल्ट टू बी कंपैशनेट टू आवरसेल्व्स, अप्रिशिएट आवरसेल्व्स. नहीं हो रहा, नो प्रॉब्लम, कैन वी स्टार्ट अप्रिशिएटिंग अदर्स.
Right,
Neuroscience says that the more when we do something, our brain structure also changes and helps us to do that more. Maybe we can start with appreciating others, and that will help us learn how to appreciate ourselves just as a practice. शायद यहाँ से शुरू कर सकते हैं.
right. Little steps.
Little few steps.
Yeah, right.
And
So
there is, sure, go ahead, Nidhi.
I actually think there's just one question that's come in. So I
Sure.
overthink a lot, and one second. I overthink a lot about my problems, how to overcome it. I also get sleepless nights because of that.
So exactly what we spoke about, that if you're overthinking, and what happens is our meter is always on. सोने से
Right,
पहले हम क्या कर रहे हैं, आर वी एबल टू डीएक्टिवेट इट, पुट द मीटर डाउन, कि बस अभी हमें नाउ टाइम टू रेस्ट. नाउ दैट थॉट स्टॉपिंग, दैट एबिलिटी टू पुट इट असाइड, how do we empty and discharge those thoughts? So it will have to be proactively be done. Therapy can help that to a great extent, because sometimes, when we were growing up, we were always said, गुस्सा नहीं करो, गुस्सा अच्छा नहीं होता है, मत दिखाया करो.
right,
Any negative emotion, we were told how we need to stop doing that. It's not good for us. What we actually need to learn is how do we support it.
right,
Our teachers, our parents, they didn't know better. That's fine. But, maybe we didn't get that listening, and we didn't learn to support ourselves. And eventually, we didn't learn at all how we can do it ourselves. क्योंकि जब दूसरा हमें support करता है तो हम सीखते हैं हम खुद से कैसे कर सकते हैं.
right,
So we need to start, and therapy can help us to sort of learn how to support ourselves, so eventually we can get on with it on our own. So if there is problem with sleeplessness, we need to know how we can discharge our thoughts. Maybe journaling can help, emptying our mind, just writing something down and then putting it aside, emptying ourselves. Try different ways. If it doesn't work, we need to see a mental health professional for anxiety and related concerns.
correct, correct. But also, like, some professions, like you said, that we are our biggest critics. So some professions, like there's again one thing that someone's written, that I face that on a daily basis. As a designer, one second. My work is about something looking beautiful. So I'm always overcritical about my own work. So I mean, when a work really needs you to be critical, how do you do that then? Isn't that, I mean, so that one thing is, then you will have to do that. You need to be critical about the work you do to get the best out of it. Is that okay then?
So we have to, it's fairly simple. We need to know what works and what is helpful and what is not.
Right.
So
Correct.
if we are being critical of our work, I can do better, ये पिछली बार अच्छा नहीं हुआ, इसमें ऐसा changes कर सकते हैं, that is exactly why we are rational thinking people who can progress, who succeed, who achieve. This is the
Right.
reason we are achievers, because we are able to critique ourselves, learn from it, and do better. So it is helpful, but when it's coming in a way of and creating performance anxiety, where the nervousness, positive stress is a good idea, it helps us perform better. But if it's coming in the way of our daily functioning, coming in the way of our joy in what we are doing, then we need to handle it maybe a bit differently.
Right, right, right. Also, I mean, there seems to be a lot of questions, so I'm just going to
Sure.
address that as well. So,
Please.
someone's written, what type of therapy are you referring to? Like
So
you mentioned.
I Sure. So there is a lot of compassion-based counseling that can work. CBT, REBT, which is cognitive behavior therapies. These also work to help.
Right. Okay.
And
So,
presence-oriented, yes.
right. So there's another one that the last thought that comes in my mind in the end, I dream about it always. I mean, it's a disturbing thought or something, then it's bothering me. As in if I have a fight at home, that thing affects me. So how do you usually deal with that?
So sometimes, linked to this, sometimes people come in and they say they've had a lot of nightmares, and some of the nightmares are very gory. और जब ये बुरे बुरे सपने आते हैं, हम बहुत घबरा भी जाते हैं. हमें लगता है, oh my God, what is this? That's so scary. It's good if we had these nightmares because nightmares help release anxiety. It's all right.
Right.
It's our bodies are fantastic. They know us so well. They know exactly what we need only if we were willing to listen to them. जो ये dreams आ रहे हैं, it's because we've not been able to maybe stretch, unwind, deactivate before we sleep. That's why 1 hour before we sleep, we have to try and slowly slow down, which is turn down the bright lights in the room,
Right.
put an essence, put some aroma, calm down your nerves, play some soothing music, or do journaling, or do something without devices. That
Right.
helps us to deactivate and tune out of so much that's going on.
Right.
And when we are able to do that, the nightmares, and we're giving some time to body to rest, and that is before we enter sleep, and sleep probably will be more peaceful. For the one who's getting nightmares and unable to deactivate, start with the ice pack because and the deep breathing, because it helps to cool our body down. So the effort and the energy we are using to cool our minds down, that's lesser because the ice pack is already trying to do it for us.
Right, 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 right. Also, there's one question that how to calm the mind down and detoxify our mind. Some techniques. Could you please repeat that?
Uh, so, like I said, and maybe I can summarize, is that we need to sort of start with becoming aware, befriend that thought. We can then attend to it, okay? And so we are becoming aware and we befriending it, and then we're also slowly trying to sit with it and understand: is this helpful or is it not?
Right.
Is it something and then we put our perspective there. These are some of the tips we can use.
And some activities, if I ask you, like some activities that we can do to do that. Like, of course, there's journaling and there's, grounding techniques or deep breathing. But apart from that, also, do you have any other activities that we can do or indulge into?
Okay, so since both of us are here, we'll start with a simple activity. बहुत बार होता है घर में, there are times we can watch cartoons, we can play games, or we can even play with small children, and
Right,
खुद ब खुद अपने आप ही हंसी आ जाती है. What
right,
happens when we laugh? When we laugh, we are able to release happy chemicals in our brain that gives the message to our body that don't worry, आप डरो नहीं, fear and fight, like fear की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, everything is fine. So what
right.
activities we can do? So we'll start with the simple one. So you're looking at me, Nidhi.
Yeah,
Okay. Now as you're looking at me, I know we're doing it digitally. I like to do this in person, but let's try it out. Okay.
yeah.
So we'll just look at each other and give a very gentle smile without showing our teeth.
That's
ये
gonna
बहुत
be
खुश मिजाज लोग हैं. तो जैसे किसी को कोई acquaintance को मिल लिया तो gentle smile दे दी. And then we broaden it and we show our teeth. Already, while I may be nervous, but already there's a bit of relaxation and my face is giving messages to
right,
my head. And now we just giggle a little, कोई हल्का फुल्का joke. And in
right.
laughter, you fake it till you make it,
Make it.
right? So you fake it.
What did you not even fake it? Right.
And then you laugh, and then we laugh loudly. And how is that going to be, Nidhi? Let's try it out.
Oh my God. I think the people here are. Oh Oh God. Right.
So
This
बस
was
खुल के हंसना है, कोशिश करना है हंसना है, और जब तो ये कर सकते हैं। एक और चीज कर सकते हैं, विच इज जस्ट स्पीकिंग नॉनसेंस सिलेबल्स, जिब्रिश। सो
right.
ट्राई इट विद मी। जो भी मुंह में आ रहा है ना, इट शुडंट मेक सेंस। जस्ट गो चिटर चैटर पिटर पैटर का पू पा तो टिंग का टोंग पाम पान टिंग कोम बम बम टन टिंग 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 बम बम वन टिंग डम बम। स्टार्ट विद मी निधि, कुछ भी बोलो।
I don't think मैं ये कर पाऊंगी. I'll try. Glove. We start again.
Yes,
Glove.
absolutely. Pla ting
One.
tong,
Glove.
ting
Bla.
tong,
Tra.
ting pan ting
Ting.
pa, ting pa,
Shradru.
ting
Meet.
ting
Na.
down,
Pu.
pom,
Ting.
ting, pi, pa, ting, ta.
Right.
Go ahead.
Class. You. I'm actually, instead of saying nonsense syllables, I'm actually using words instead. I mean, possibly my brain is not that programmed to.
आपकी जजमेंट आ रही है, कोई बात नहीं, वी आर ह्यूमन, जजमेंट आ रही है, परे रखेंगे। कम बैक अगेन, लेट्स ट्राई इट अगेन।
1, 2, 3. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, I think you start. I'll follow you.
ओके, 3, 2, 1, गो। टिंग टैंग टंग पंग टिंग पंग
Shruti,
टिंग पान
love,
टिंग
boom,
पोंग
dang,
टिंग
ding,
टांग
dong,
पोंग
clang,
टिंग
how,
पां
ye,
टिंग
dam,
टम
dan,
टिंग
dun,
टोंग
dan,
टिंग
ding,
पांग
dong,
टांग
dang.
टिंग पांग पांग।
Right. So basically, how does this activity exactly help? I mean,
तुम मुझे बताओ क्या हुआ तुम्हारे लिए जब तुमने बोलना शुरू किया।
so first thing तो I bursted into laughter, and of course जो पीछे जो इतनी commentary चल रही थी दिमाग में, I forgot that and I was like, हाँ अभी फिलहाल I need to focus on this. इसमें मेरे को ज़्यादा ध्यान लगाना है. So possibly these two things were the constant
It
things that took place.
it gave you a brain break from whatever commentary was going on. It said cut it out, and it brought you into the present by saying okay, focus, and कुछ भी मतलब बोलो. It's a brain break. So there are a
Right.
lot of hacks like that we can use to
Right.
be able to just declutter ourselves and say, okay, come back. Okay, we are going away, come back. It's a
Right.
journey, and we're going to continue to keep doing it each day.
Right. I think people have also enjoyed doing this, and I see some comments of people actually writing this up.
Blah blah blue blue blah blah dum dum blue. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll just check if we have any other questions also that's kind of come across. So, there's one comment that says you can only experience peace when you've experienced chaos. They are co-joined, one doesn't exist without the other. And how to calm our mind, we've already covered the dreams. Yeah. I think we've covered most of the questions. So yeah, okay, there's one thing, like we of course did talk about, but is there any reason for procrastination in particular? Why do people, indulge into this?
So it is again what we started with. It is a cluttered mind. जब हम ऑलरेडी इतने थक गए हैं, क्या होता है ना, when we are tired, we are demotivated, when we are exhausted. हमने कोई पत्थर नहीं फोड़े लॉकडाउन में घर बैठकर, बट हम लोग वो there is so many of us are reporting lack of energy and difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep.
Right.
Right, because there is the clutter in the mind. क्या होगा, कैसे होगा, मुझे हो जाएगा. Caregiving, there's so much of pressures, that at home, when you're working from home and working at home.
Right.
So that's the reason what we may judge as procrastination is a response of our body and our mind to deal with the chaos.
Right.
It's true. There can be no peace. There can be no chaos. Happiness, sadness have to exist. Yin and yang, it has to be there, so that we are able to enjoy life fully. Otherwise, it won't remain beautiful. But the
Right.
idea is that we need to understand that where is our mind cluttered, become aware of it, and then act. For some of us, small tips may help. For some of us, talking to somebody else may help. For some of us, being with ourselves and doing these small things may help. And for some of us, we may need professional care.
Correct. So I think I just see these lovely comments pouring in that the activity was wonderful, excellent, and these love stars and hearts. And thank you. So, and I don't think there are any questions. So I'll just, close the window for the question. And if you have any, you can always DM me or on the official site of IEC. So we'll always be happy. I mean, we'll be happy to help you all. So, before we kind of end and we conclude, is there any concluding remarks that you would like to give us, something that our viewers can take along back with them?
Sure. So one is each of y'all and whoever listens to this video can get in touch with me directly on Instagram as well. And importantly, a lot of us, people like Nidhi and myself, we are trying to put up Instagram, chats where we're talking about concerns. Not just that, there are a lot of people who are putting up platforms where we can interact, take support from, like just have listening to our pain. And those are incredible platforms because they really offer solace because there's somebody who listen in, and they're
Right,
great. Now, what the only downside is that a lot of prevention can happen with timely intervention. And when we access these platforms, we may get the short term relief, but we will not be able to prevent a long term mental health disaster.
right,
So it's important for the platforms to also do immediate referral when they feel that this person we are talking to probably needs professional care. So we need to train ourselves in identifying that. And also to the people who are listening in or who will see this video later, if any of this you've tried and it didn't work in 15 days, you need to see a therapist and pick anybody who you're comfortable with. Any friendly neighborhood mental health professional will do.
right. So yes, I think amazing, love it, and people genuinely
Thank
love
you.
the activity part, and I think they've tried it themselves, is what I'm assuming. So
Thank you
yes,
so much for the questions and the comments. This has been a lot of
thank
fun as well.
thank you to you too, and thank you to our viewers for actually being there and commenting and putting in those questions. It really means a lot, and thank you for being here today. And this was indeed a very insightful session, and something I hope just my mom doesn't hear this. I just hope that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to more such interactive sessions, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend.
Yes, bye.